Welcome back, everyone, to the Magic ATM Lovers Conclave for our Week 4 explainer. We are jumping right in today because we're tackling a deeply restorative topic. Week 4, the compassion of God, extending second chances like Jonah learned. I mean, we all absolutely love the idea of a second chance for ourselves, right? But extending them to others? Yeah, that's where the real relational heavy lifting begins. It completely yanks us out of our comfort zones and forces us to confront how we really view mercy.
Okay, let's dive into this with a pretty provocative question. Whose salvation are you angry about? Or, to put it in everyday relationship terms, whose second chance or sudden good fortune genuinely irritates you? That's a tough pill to swallow, I know. It instantly challenges that deeply ingrained human tendency we all have to hold on to grudges. When someone wrongs us, our default mode is to just demand justice. We want them to feel the weight of it. We want them to pay. But when God steps in with grace instead of the gavel, well, it can actually make us mad. It totally exposes the limits of our own mercy and shows us exactly where our compassion stops.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at one of the most famously stubborn figures in history, Jonah. He was absolutely furious that God decided to spare the repentant city of Nineveh. I mean, these were his enemies. He wanted them wiped out. So picture this. Jonah is literally sitting outside the city, sulking in the desert heat. God provides this little plant to give him some shade, and Jonah loves it. But when the plant withers, Jonah loses his mind. He's devastated. God actually has to step in and point out the sheer absurdity of his selective mercy. God points out that Jonah cared way more about his personal comfort over a shade plant he didn't even grow than the ultimate fate of over 120,000 human beings. It's wild.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly captures the state of our own hearts. Think of resentment as a parched desert. When we hold on to that Jonah spirit, when we value our own comfort, our own vindication, and our own version of justice over everything else, our relationships just dry up. We become isolated, thirsty, and bitter. But when we shift our perspective to value God's heart for redemption, it's like stepping into a flourishing garden of compassion. A lack of compassion usually just reveals a heart that's way too focused on itself. Choosing compassion is what brings life, moisture, and real growth right back into our relational world.
The core truth we're wrestling with in this explainer is a big one. True mercy doesn't just tolerate a second chance, it literally celebrates it. Just let that sink in for a second. Genuine mercy means looking at someone, even someone who has deeply hurt you in the past, and genuinely feeling joy when they experience redemption, when they turn their life around. If we are just gritting our teeth when our enemies succeed or find peace, we haven't fully grasped the magnitude of the mercy we've been freely given ourselves.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because this journey from bitterness to grace follows a really clear relational progression. Step 1 is where pretty much all of us start: Jonah's anger. We are furious that someone got away with it, that they were spared the consequences we felt they so clearly deserved. We're caring more about our pride than their restoration. But then comes step 2, God's question. God asks, should I not have compassion? And wow, that completely exposes our selective mercy. It holds a mirror right up to our grudges. Which leaves us at step 3, our choice. We are left standing at a crossroads where we have to actively choose whether to cling to that bitterness or to align our hearts with God's compassionate, redemptive nature.
So the crucial point is this. Extending a second chance in your relationships is absolutely not about pretending the hurt never happened. It's not ignoring the offense, and it definitely isn't saying that what they did was okay. We often resist forgiving because we think it somehow minimizes our pain. It doesn't. Giving grace is simply about aligning your heart with God's redemptive nature. It means voluntarily surrendering that toxic, self-destructive right you feel you have to stay bitter. It's stepping right out of the judge's seat and letting God do what he does best: heal and redeem.
Let's make this incredibly practical right now. If you're single, is there someone from your past you haven't truly forgiven? Are you secretly a little angry that they might be doing well? Your action step this week is to pray Jonah chapter 4 over them. Ask God, give me your compassion for them. Help me to actually want your mercy for them, not my version of justice. Now for the married couples out there. Is there an old wound where you've said, yeah, I forgive you, but you're secretly still holding on to resentment? That is the Jonah spirit right there. Go to your spouse this week and say, I realize I've been holding on to resentment about this. I choose again today to release it. I want God's best for you, not my bitterness.
I really want you to let these words wash over your relationships this week. We choose the compassion of God over the resentment of Jonah. We release our right to bitterness and celebrate redemption. When we actually embrace this, we affirm our shared identity.
We aren't just consumers of God's grace, we are meant to be active vessels that pour it out onto others, mirroring the exact same unmerited favor we receive every single day.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really important final question to chew on. What actually helps you make that monumental shift? What helps you move from demanding justice to genuinely wanting God's compassion for someone who has hurt you? I want you to reflect on your own journey. Think about what has successfully pulled you out of the desert of bitterness in the past and planted you back into the garden of grace. Let that guide your conversations and your relationships this week. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep choosing compassion, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.